Okay, so let's talk about something fascinating. What if you could get all the upside of Ethereum's growth, but without actually buying any Ethereum? Today, we are diving deep into BitMine Immersion Technologies. This is a company that's being talked about as the #1 equity investment for exposure to ETH. But is it really this golden ticket, or is it all just a bunch of hype? Let's get into it. You've probably heard the chatter. I mean, it is everywhere online. From forums to social media, the noise around BitMine is just deafening. People are calling this a once-in-a-generation type of opportunity. You know, the whole turn your coffee money into yacht fuel dream. But we all know hype is a double-edged sword, right? So, let's try to cut through all that noise and really look at what's going on. So, to really get a handle on this, we're going to break it down into 5 key parts. First up, we'll unpack the big idea, the explosive thesis that has everyone so excited. Then, we'll look at the company's insane $14 billion treasury. After that, we'll dig into the online sentiment, the hype machine that's just fueling this thing. We'll also cover their tech and staking edge. And then at the end, we'll put it all together and see if this roadmap to $280 a share is, even possible. All right, let's start with the core thesis. BitMine, which trades under the ticker BMNR, is not some random penny stock. Okay, we're talking about an NYSE American company, and its performance just this year alone has been, it's been absolutely wild. Just look at that. Over 650% in just a few months. That is not just a number on a screen. That's a huge statement. It tells you that there is a powerful story being told here and big-time investors are paying attention. The rocket has definitely launched, but the real question is, how much fuel does it have left? So what is BitMine really? Well, think of it like this. It's a bridge. A bridge from the traditional stock market to the new world of crypto. It's a way for you to bet on the future of Ethereum without having to deal with crypto wallets, exchanges, or any of that hustle. You're basically getting exposure to the crypto wave right there in your regular old brokerage account. Okay, now let's talk about the fuel for this rocket ship. Because the first and maybe biggest pillar of the bull case for BitMiner is its absolutely gigantic treasury. And when I say gigantic, I mean it. This is the financial engine that believers think could send this stock to a whole new stratosphere. $14.2 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't just some company that bought a little crypto on the side. This is a financial titan in the space. This is institutional level money. And that fact alone separates BitMine from pretty much everybody else out there. And here is the real secret sauce. That treasury includes a staggering 3.31 million Ethereum tokens. Now, what does that mean? It means for every 0.000 jump in ETH's price, BitMine's asset value shoots up by over $3 billion. They're not just bullish on ETH. Their entire fortune is directly tied to it. And get this, they're not just sitting back and watching. They are actively adding to their war chest. Case in point, a recent $320 million purchase of ETH on a dip. This shows some serious conviction. They're not just holding, they are doubling down on their bet, which sends a really strong signal. And honestly, when you put BitMine side by side with its competitors, it's not even a contest. They are completely in a league of their own with this mountain of ETH holdings. According to the bulls, BitMine isn't just leading the pack, they're lapping the competition. So we've got the huge treasury, right? That's the hard numbers. But what about the people, the traders, the investors who are actually clicking the buy button? Well, that's where this story gets really, really interesting. Let's dive into the world of online sentiment and see what's brewing. An analysis of recent social media chatter shows that an incredible 98% of all the talk about is leading to some pretty eye-popping price predictions. You're seeing calls for a squeeze to over $110. A short squeeze, if you don't know, is this wild market event where a stock goes up so fast that people betting against it get panicked. They're forced to buy back shares to limit their losses, which just pours more fuel on the fire and pushes the price even higher. Can be explosive. And it's not just the retail investors getting hyped. The technical chartists are also getting in on the action, pointing to what they call a Wave 3 move to over $130. Now, in Elliott wave theory, Wave 3 is usually the longest, strongest, most powerful upward move in a trend. So, for a chartist, that's a huge buy signal. And then you have the ultimate bull case, a price target of $350. This is the kind of prediction that gets everyone's blood pumping, right? But it's also a serious reality check about the sheer amount of speculation that's driving this stock. A huge return is an amazing thought, but it always comes with a huge amount of risk. So, let's keep our heads on straight as we look at the fundamentals. Okay, so we have the treasury and we have the hype, but any experienced investor knows that stuff can only carry you so far. At the end of the day, a company has to have strong fundamentals. So, let's pop the hood and see what's really making this thing run. Before we get into that, we got to understand a really key idea. Net asset value, or NAV. Just think of it as the company's baseline value. If BitMine sold off all its Ethereum today, the NAV is what you'd get for each share. But here's the crucial part. BMR is trading at a premium to its NAV. That means people are paying more for the stock than its assets are technically worth. Why would they do that? Well, because they're betting on the future. They believe the company will make that value grow. So, what's supposed to drive that future growth? Well, a few big things. First, BitMine is planning to stake its ETH, which could bring in over $420 million a year in income. Staking basically turns their passive ETH holdings into a massive cash-generating machine. They also have this immersion cooling tech, which cuts energy costs and gives them a huge operational advantage. And as the company gets bigger, it starts to look really attractive to big institutions, which could bring in a whole new wave of buyers. All right, time for the grand finale. Let's put all these pieces together. We've got the treasury, the insane hype, and the solid fundamentals. Now, let's look at how the bulls think this all combines into a roadmap to $280 a share. BitMine is bullish. That is almost a complete and total consensus. It's like a massive echo chamber of positive conviction. But as any trader will tell you, when everybody is standing on the same side of the boat, things can get tippy. Is this a sign of strength, or is it a bubble just waiting for a pin? And that bullish feeling. This is their dream scenario, a step-by-step path to a potential 5x from here. So buckle up. So how could BMR get to 280? The bull case basically has 4 acts. Act 1, Ethereum itself has to surge to $8,000, maybe pushed by new ETFs. Act 2, BitMine flips the switch on its staking and that huge river of cash starts flowing in. Act 3, the market starts looking at Bit differently and gives the stock a much higher valuation, like 2 or 3 times its net asset value. And finally, the grand finale. The company gets added to a major index like the Russell 1000, triggering a flood of institutional buying and that short squeeze we talked about. Now, that's a lot of things that have to go right, but if they do, the upside could be massive. And here's what that might look like on a timeline, at least according to the bulls. Maybe a move to $75 pretty soon, then a climb to 150 as Ethereum's bull market continues, and finally that big push to 280 in early 2026 when all the stars align. Of course, this is all just speculation, but it shows you what the believers think is possible. And this really gets to the heart of the entire investment idea here, asymmetry. The bulls are arguing that the potential reward is just so much bigger than the potential risk. They see this clear shot to $280 or more, while they think the downside is pretty much capped at a drop to around $40. But let's be super clear here. A drop to 40 is still a big painful loss. And there is absolutely no guarantee the price would stop there. So while that upside is incredibly tempting, you have to be fully aware of the real risks involved. And that leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? Is BitMine a rocket ship on a launch pad? Or is it a house of cards just waiting for a gust of wind? The bulls are dreaming of 280 while the bears are just waiting for the bubble to pop. And as always, the truth is probably hiding somewhere in the middle. So do your own homework, understand the risks, and make the call that's right for you. Don't forget to subscribe my channel, The Stock Guy Analysis. And thanks for watching.